The problem of power in behaviour support. Hi, my name's Alexis Quinn. I'm autistic and have been subject to years of behavioural support whilst I was detained in inpatient units. This video looks at issues of power in behaviour support and I suppose just support more generally. I start by asking, can behaviour support ever really help people when power is yielded over us rather than being developed within us? Sometimes people subject to behaviour support find themselves in situations where they're being looked after. I was being looked after because I was communicating my distress by sort of acting out. I did this because the environment didn't meet my needs. You know, for example, like my communication and sensory differences weren't understood or supported. Now, underlying that psychological distress was powerless or experiences of powerlessness. You know, I was told what to do, how to behave, and this usually meant not looking like obviously autistic. I had detailed plans that rewarded or took things away from me if I didn't do the right thing. Now, we know that control and powerlessness are one of the most significant factors that contribute to the experiences of psychological distress. So, surely the way to deal with distress that comes from powerlessness is not to impose further power and control. Now, when I was an inpatient, I was presented with a right way to think and behave. If I disagreed with the behaviour support or I didn't comply with the instructions on offer, this was viewed by general staff as non-compliance. If I continued to act autistically and the support failed, it was because I hadn't followed the behaviour support plan. You know, the responsibility was with me alone. Now, there's a few issues with all of this. First off, the staff, it's the staff, right, who decide what's rational or desirable. Okay, now these judgments are influenced by non-autistic culture, you know, not culture associated with learning disabilities, autism, or whatever it is. Actually, it's what other people think is desirable. The second problem, I guess, is that the approach completely ignores the jarring impact of non-autistic environments and culture. And it is these that so frequently aggravate our sensitive sensory systems, causing pain and meltdown. And so we're in a situation where cultural norms, which are not objective, impose conformist ideology on us. Now, to make matters worse, the aims of behaviour support are then justified by an appeal to their scientific validity and their evidence base. So it's difficult then to disagree with them, especially when they're wrapped up as being for our own good. The fact that behaviour support ignores the material reality of power and oppression by focusing on changing our thinking rather than looking at the reality of autistic lives doesn't seem to occur to anyone to be a bad thing. Behaviour support is thought to be good because it's assumed to be objective and therefore scientific. It has authority. Now, synonymous with authority is power, and this power is possessed by the behaviour support practitioner. It is unidirectional and it can be oppressive. The aim of my behaviour support was to alter the way I was in the world, and the practitioner used their authority to enforce norms on me. It felt like psychic repression, okay? The quelling of my strong emotional reactions to the pains of the environment and what was happening to me in inpatient units, replaced by so-called rationality. It was oppressive. Now, good behaviour support is said to be a collaborative process between equals, where the practitioner and the person occupy different roles, but work together on a joint enterprise. The practitioner's role in the collaboration is to make decisions concerning the support, and the person's role is then to decide how these might helpfully apply to their life. Good behaviour support suggests this collaboration must be based on mutual respect. But in my behaviour support and many others, I had to accept staff's superior knowledge They always had the final say, and it often ended up in restraint. Now, honestly, it feels like an appeal to equality that's impossible. Given the context, given the power embedded in the institutional role of the practitioner, how could there be collaboration? It's one thing to offer me a voice, but quite another to allow me a voice of my own. And in fact, this annoys me because the suggestion of collaboration, the suggestion of collaboration in such oppressive behaviour support actually increases the practitioner's power, because it conceals it. It conceals where the power's at, in a rhetoric of collaboration. Think about it, right? When I'm being guided towards what the practitioner believes is a good solution, I'm still being shaped. I'm allowed to make the support my own only if I follow the practitioner's ideas, right? You can make a decision for yourself, Alexis, as long as you decide what I know is good for you. Now, remember, at the same time as all this, the practitioner is using their power to increase my compliance. Their authority isn't really questioned. So really what I'm saying is collaboration is muddled with compliance. Now, what's the way forwards? Well, distress reduction, must be based on the quality of the relationship. And this quality is dependent on the dynamics of power in the relationship. There has to be empathy, there has to be goal agreement, and there has to be a good alliance. And the practitioner must not take power over the person or diminish them, but rather encourage power from within, right? And it has to be through a mutual, respectful relationship. So the question is, can behaviour support ever achieve this? Can it ever, in its current iteration, give people the autonomy and the agency needed for them to develop their own power from within? Thanks for listening.